I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally in my pajamas for this episode right now. And you know what? I've decided that's okay. It kind of fits with the vibe of this episode today, at least, I guess, or it fits with just the message that I want to convey with this episode. I've been going through a lot lately. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a lot. I've talked about this a little bit, I think, on the podcast before, but the last probably about 2 months, I've been having some really difficult stomach issues. It started with I was at work one day and I got this really intense chest pain and I had to go back. I got to go home from work and I ended up being home for a few days. I couldn't work for a while because I just really was not feeling good. So I actually went into urgent care and they did an x-ray. They checked to see if it was maybe some acid reflux because I have had that in the past. And they couldn't find anything. So they just kind of were like, maybe you're sick or something. Because I had some really weird, just body issues too. I was just feeling really exhausted. Felt like I couldn't breathe. Felt like I felt weak. Like it really almost, I took multiple COVID tests over those few days because it really felt like I had COVID. Because I was just I was weak. It was really weird. And then the intense chest pain went away and I was able to start going back to work. But there were still moments where it was just it would come back. Maybe the chest pain wasn't as bad, but that's still that breathing issue and just feeling really weak. And, it would come back. And I was trying to find a pattern. Does it have to do with if I'm doing a lot of physical activity or if I'm doing this or if I'm doing that, and I kind of wondered if it was correlated to food, but I didn't know for sure. And I definitely did not realize it at first because I would go out in the morning for a cup of coffee and then I would walk to work and I would be in so much pain on the way to work. And I was like, well, it's probably just the physical activity then because I'm walking, maybe there's something going on with that. And because a cup of coffee or even just a glass of water in the morning, I was like, that's not going to be affecting it, right? I've had stomach issues before, but things like that don't affect it because I also drink decaf coffee. I can't have caffeine. So I was like, okay, so I didn't realize it for a while. I couldn't figure it out. And it wasn't until I went to Miami to go visit my sister and we were eating a lot of, we were just eating out a lot. And we were eating a lot of Hispanic food, which tends to be greasier, on the greasier side. And we were eating out a lot, so that also tends to be greasier. And by the end of the trip, I was in so much pain. And I could tell at that point that it got worse after I would eat. So I could tell that, okay, it somehow has something to do with eating. So after I got back, actually, I went to urgent care again to get, to see if they could give me another opinion, if my updated list of symptoms would help them find anything. And they, again, were kind of like, yeah, there's nothing really we can do, maybe, whatever. And my mom, being a nurse practitioner, was like, okay, come home and we're going to go see the general surgeon in our hometown because we know him well and we know that he'll have some ideas. And so he went and he was like, and he ordered a bunch of tests and nothing came up with anything until the very last test that was ordered. And it was a HIDA scan for my gallbladder. And my gallbladder was working perfectly. Everything was functioning properly. But when they gave me the hormone, I started getting the symptoms. And I was like, well, I don't know if that means anything. But he called me a few days after and he said, okay, we got to take your gallbladder out. So within a few days, I was in surgery and they took my gallbladder out. And he said it looked horrible when they took it out. It apparently was very inflamed, very not looking good, and it needed to come out. So that was my long adventure. That's been in the last 2 months. And now I came back about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago after the surgery. Now, what they do when they do a gallbladder surgery is they actually like pump you with CO2 so your stomach fills up. And they try to get most of it out, but there's a good portion that ends up staying in your body, and your body eventually just kind of processes it. But before it does that, all the CO2 comes up to your shoulders. So I had a lot of shoulder pain, and it lasted probably like 3 or 4 days. I was told it was only going to last 24 hours, so apparently my body does not respond the way that it, you would expect usually. So I was having a lot of pain there, and then even after a week and a half, I couldn't bend over because if I bent over, the CO2 would come back up to my shoulders and I'd be in so much pain. So that was fun. I also had a very slow recovery process compared to normal. So the medication that I got did not actually work. I must metabolize it weird. So I started taking a different medication, but I hated the way it made me feel. And there was no way I could do anything after I took the medication because I still maybe I wasn't in pain, but I was really uncomfortable. So I ended up I just stopped taking the medication. So the first 3 days I had the medication that didn't actually do anything for me. So and then I had maybe a few days where I took the other one, and then it got to a point where I was like, I can't do this anymore. So the majority of this surgery, I was recovering without any medication. I tried Tylenol, I tried ibuprofen. I mean, it maybe helped a little bit, but not much. And then my body's reaction to the pain ended up being nausea. So even when the pain was kind of gone, the nausea was so bad that I couldn't even stand up. So all in all, that is why I've been gone the last 2 or 3 weeks, because the first week I was like, I need to mentally prepare for this. And the next 2 weeks, I was expecting that I would be back and up and going. I was supposed to be able to start doing stuff the next day, and it took 2 weeks. So I am back. The podcast is back. I was able to take that time to really reflect on some stuff and really pay attention to what it is that I want this podcast to be. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that in a vlog that I'll be putting up, hopefully in about a week or two. But yeah, so I'm just, here we are, updated, I guess, life update. And what I want to talk about here is just reflecting on the last 3 weeks and my whole process of, wow, life can be pretty sucky. I'm not gonna lie, life can be very sucky. And just learning to kind of be like, you know what? Finding comfort in the uncomfortable moment. I haven't been able to do physical activity yet. I have an appointment in 2 days, and they'll be able to give me the good to go. And I'm so excited because I've been able to walk. I've been going on walks, and that has been amazing, but I need to get back to my yoga. I need to get back to moving my body. I have just felt very lazy lately, and it's probably only been within the last maybe 3 days that I've finally started to feel okay, I feel well enough that I can actually start getting up and doing things. So I've been walking to go get coffee or things like that again, because it got to the point where I couldn't even walk anymore. Probably for about a month or so, it got to the point where I'd be like, I can't walk anymore. Even walking, even just anything would aggravate. And I don't understand why. I don't quite understand why that correlates with the gallbladder, but I think it was something to do with different symptoms of I couldn't even drink water anymore. So, and I was having trouble breathing pretty much every time I ate. So my body was just not getting what it needed. I had stopped eating a lot. I had really tried to avoid eating at all costs. I couldn't drink water because that would aggravate my gallbladder. I was dehydrated. I probably did not have enough food in my stomach at the time. It was just this whole thing. So I'm back, and I'm so happy I'm back, and I've been eating like crazy. I've been eating whatever I want, and it's been amazing. It's been so good. So my whole point here is just, I guess, it was really difficult for me. Honestly, not knowing what was going on was super difficult because it was making, like, I was taking a summer class and it was making this summer class really hard to, like, like just processing the information and getting to class. And like, I was using my brain more because I was in a class, which means if I'm using my brain more, I need more nutrients in my body, and my body wasn't getting enough food. And it was really stressful. And getting to class was stressful sometimes because I didn't want to walk too much because it really would put me out for the whole day. And work was stressful because I ended up sitting a lot during work. And once they took the gallbladder out, it got a million times worse because I obviously couldn't do things. And if I had known that it would take that long for a recovery, it may have been a little bit better, but I didn't know. It was not supposed to take, like, the recovery period is about 2 weeks, but in that period, like, the 2 weeks is like, okay, you can do stuff, you just can't do any major physical activity, right? My recovery was not normal. Like, I ended up going to the ER for it, and they were a little concerned, and they did a bunch of tests just to make sure that there wasn't something else going on, because my recovery was going slower than it would be expected to. I don't want to say that it should, because, my body just decided to, heal at a different pace, and that's okay. But it was really uncomfortable, and there were a lot of unknowns. There were a lot of, like, I can't do anything. And I'm not gonna lie, like, it got really depressing. There were a few days I actually went home for a weekend to my hometown to stay with my grandparents because it got to a point where I was like, I need to be around people. I need people to be able to fix me food and to be able to, encourage me to sit down and work on my homework, and to encourage me to, get up and moving and stuff and just do my best there, because it really got to this point where it was hard to even just get up and grab food. And so I went home for a little bit, and being around people, and that was also, it happened to be the day that my nausea went away, because I just woke up one day and it was suddenly gone, which was really nice. That happened to be the day that my nausea went away. And so that was when things started to look up, because I was like, okay, I'm around people again, but like, I did a lot of crying during this recovery, a lot. And it was difficult, and it was a minor surgery compared to most, like, I would still say that when I got my wisdom teeth out, it was worse, because at least for this, I could eat, right? With my wisdom teeth, and I got an infection when I got my wisdom teeth out, so it was just a whole thing. But like, I've never had any major surgery. I've only had my wisdom teeth out, and I've had my gallbladder out, right? And these are two that the recovery period is usually pretty good. Like, obviously no one likes getting surgery and getting your wisdom teeth out, like, so I'm not diminishing that, but in terms of other surgeries, like, it's not a major procedure or anything that's like huge, or huge recovery time or anything. And I was really depressed. I was really not feeling good. I was really starting to get some of, like, my old patterns from when I was struggling with mental health, and it was scary. And that, I think, right there is just what life in the unknown can feel like sometimes. Especially my senior year of high school, was going through so many different things, and it just felt like a lot of life was unknown. I mean, I was applying to colleges. I had no idea what my life would look like in the next year. I was in a long distance relationship at the time that we also did not know. We had no idea when we would see each other next. I was dealing with a lot of bullying at school, which was a whole other unknown. Like, okay, is it gonna get better after I graduate, once, like, you're, away? Spoiler alert, it did not. But like, things like that, like, I really needed separation from my hometown at that point. I really needed a new journey. I really needed something to, like, keep me going and to make me passionate, and to just, like, and there were just so many unknowns. I mean, and that, I think, is what the senior year of high school for so many people can be. Senior year of college for people. I'm not looking forward to that unknown coming up soon. And just like life, life has unknowns. There's so many unknowns in life. There's so many moments where you're like, I have absolutely no idea what what tomorrow is going to look like, what the next day is going to look like. And the only way I've ever been able to cope with it just like be able to do my best is to try and shift the narrative there a little bit, to shift my mindset just a little bit and be like, you know what, maybe it's time to find comfort in the unknown. Now, okay, when I was in pain and feeling pretty depressed, like that is a whole other level. And that one, like I needed to go home. I needed to, and like you need to do things for yourself, right? Like that was a mental health struggle, physical health struggle at that point. So I wasn't really able to do that in this moment, but it did make me reflect on the past in moments where I have struggled and how I responded to it, and to try and do my best, like try and just keep this positive mindset, keep this mindset of like, wait, maybe this is an opportunity for me, like I had to keep reminding myself, wait, but at least right now I'm eating again. Like I'm in pain, but I know it's going to go away. It's a surgery, it's the healing process, but I know this isn't going to last. And unlike, when I was actually dealing with the gallbladder stuff and we didn't know what it was, and I was like, I don't know how long it's going to last, right? So that just whole process of the unknowns, and then before I got the gallbladder out and we didn't know what it was, that process of being like, what am I going to do? Like I was really starting to stress out, like, okay, it's making it really hard for me to work now. I had to leave work multiple times because I couldn't stand up anymore. I couldn't do stuff anymore. I was really struggling with any type of food I was eating. Like I was really starting to get worried about my eating habits. I was really like, you know what, if the doctors don't figure this out, I'm going to have to go see someone because like I need to be getting more food. And I just, that whole process there of like, what is the unknown? How do you cope with it? How do you learn to be okay with it? And it's not necessarily being okay with it. Like the unknown is comfortable no matter what, but being able to find the comfort in the moments, like the fact that, okay, hey, I was uncomfortable and yet I still was in a comfortable spot. I was in my apartment that I love, that I can feel comfortable with. When I went to go see my family, I was with my family that was able to take care of me, right? In high school, when I was struggling with stuff, I was in a place that I recognized. I knew that maybe I have no idea what's going to happen next, but I know that I will be leaving this town soon and I'll be getting a fresh start because I really needed it. All these different things where it's a moment where when you're in the unknown and you're really uncomfortable and you're really struggling, I really think, the unknown is something that you can't control. That's the thing about it. That's, I think, why us as human beings end up living in the unknown so much, and why life can be so stressful, is because it's a way to push ourselves to realize that we can't control it. It sucks, but living in the unknown, not having any idea of what's coming next, you can't control that. You can't control the ultimate course of what's going to happen, right? Like I can't control if, thinking back to high school, right? I couldn't control if I was going to get into my dream college. I did, and I'm really grateful for it, but I couldn't control that. I did the best that I could, and it was just a waiting period. And in that moment, the only thing that you can do is really look into yourself and be like, okay, I can't control any of these things, so what can I control? I can control my internal self. I can take care of myself. I can spend time learning to get to know myself, loving myself, I already said that, but taking care of yourself is just so important. And, building habits that, preparing myself for, the ultimate what's next, right? Like, no matter what, you're always going to have yourself. And that is kind of beautiful to think about, is that if you get to know yourself like you would a friend, then I like to think that I am one of my best friends, right? I hope that I am. Sometimes it sure doesn't feel like it, but I hope that I am. And I really try to keep that relationship with myself going, because ultimately when life feels like it is falling apart around you, you're still going to have that best friend of yourself with you. You're still going to have you. And that familiarity can be really comforting. It doesn't make it go away, but it can be this reminder to yourself that, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to just spend this time with myself and do the best that I can. And it somehow almost makes you feel less alone too. Even though it's you, it feels less alone. And so that's just what I've been thinking about lately. The cat is looking like she is wanting to leave the room, but I have the room closed because I'm recording. So you're gonna have to stay in here for a little bit, Lucia. I'm sorry. That's just, I guess, what I've been thinking about lately is just this entire process. The last 3 months, I just feel like I haven't been as connected to myself. And I feel like that's why the unknown has been a little bit more uncomfortable than I anticipated it to be. And my hope is that by me just reflecting on this entire thing, giving you guys an update on where I am, why I was gone, how I'm back now, can inspire you to, maybe reflect on your own life. Have you been spending enough time with yourself? I haven't. I'm really been focusing on that the last few days, and once my doctor gives me the good to go, it's going to be so much easier. And, I've just been really trying to spend that time with myself and reflect and all of that. So that's my, I guess, thought for you to continue beyond this episode. But how have you been spending your time with yourself? Have you been nice to yourself? Have you been intentional about spending time with yourself? Have you been all of these different things are so important to me. So after this episode, what my plan is to go get a cup of coffee, spend some time with myself, edit the episode, and read a book. That's my plan for the rest of the day. And I have this idea that I need to be productive every day. And you know what? I don't need to be incredibly productive every day, because, I think of productive as getting stuff done, doing homework, this and that. The cat finally got bored. I'm sorry if you hear stuff. Lucia, can you give me 2 minutes? Just 2 minutes, please. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, never mind. Hi, can you come here? Come here. I'm almost done. I promise. Okay, well, I guess that's the end of this episode because she's not going to listen to me. So I will see you next time. We will be getting back to the Tuesday episodes every week, hopefully. And she's being really loud, so bye.